Hey guys, I'm Si. Welcome to A.C.E Podcast Nation, the home of the Andy Campbell Football Show. This is episode number 122. The show is available live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. A.C.E Podcast Nation, as you well know, is home to many other great shows and series featuring top guests, expert analysts and more. So please give us a follow on social media, subscribe to that YouTube channel and click the bell for notifications so you get a little message every time we go live or we upload new content, interviews or shows. And of course, if you want to keep it purely football, you can follow at A.C.E Footy Show on all social media platforms and streamline your experience. And not forgetting, if you prefer the audio versions of this show or any other show, you can get the audio versions at the usual podcast platforms. Pretty much every podcast platform you can think of. Just search A.C.E Podcast Nation and there's well over 400, well just under 400 shows I should say. But just while we do wait for those platforms to just to fill up a little bit for the latecomers, the stragglers, a big thank you to Black Diamond Sports as ever for all their support around the show. Black Diamond Sports is a global sports agency representing sports stars from around the world. For more information you can visit their social media pages and their website. Links to both of those are in the description below, or you can find it in the closing credits at the end of the show. And today's sponsor, as ever, Bespoke Financial. We are massively thankful for partnering with such a brand. They provide award-winning service and they're truly top of their field. Darren Ralston of Bespoke Financial currently giving away a free will worth £140 with every single new policy which is taken out. So please check out this amazing offer, give them a call and don't miss out, because it is an incredible offer and they are an incredible company providing incredible service. They've looked after Andy for many a year, including the critical illness and the injury cover. They are top of their field, as I mentioned, and very, very proud to partner up with them, and we thank them for sponsoring the show. We'll have a little video from them a bit later on towards the end of the show. But in the meantime, let's meet the peeps. First of all, the co-host with the most, the man with the plan, some would say, the fox in the box, and still the king of the Millennium Stadium. He is Davy Jones' favourite son, ex-Cardiff City, Middlesbrough striker, a speed demon, a goal machine. He's been called many names, but we call him Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, my friend. How the devil are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, this is a good one for me tonight. This is something which I've wanted for a while. I say, me and you have spoke on a number of occasions about our guests. Someone who I learned so much from. It would be a good race. Not so much now. It might have been back in the day. And one thing which just astounds me, doesn't it? We were just talking just before we came on live that I think I've just worked out in my head there, about 26 years ago, something really special happened for me and Chris on the same night, which obviously we were wonderful man, wonderful guy who's helped me so much, had a great career. And really looking forward to the show. Can't wait.
Indeed, mate. I thought I was going to start rapping your intro at one point there, and I rhymed like 3 sentences in a row. I was like, I've got to stop. In my head, I was thinking, I've got to stop ryming. This could go on forever.
You've been hanging around the kids too long, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I started freestyling. Jesus, what's going on? But I'm very excited to welcome tonight's guest, as you just mentioned. He's an ex-England U23s coach, former Middlesbrough, Northampton Town, and a slew of other clubs. Striker, Mr. Chris Freestone. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. I'm really well. Happy to be here. I've seen some of them. Yeah, your shows are interesting. You've had some interesting characters on, and I know quite a few of them as well, which is great. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how I'll be feeling in a bit, but at the minute, I'm looking forward to it.
No, Chris, good everyone. I love the bit there that's your clubs. That was there's a long list, but I'm sure we'll go through. But like you say,
I don't think you've got time.
More clubs than Tiger Woods, mate. I tell you, but no, listen. You know what I mean? We're gonna dig deep. We'll go through. Thankful for your time, because I know it's precious. I know especially your family out here, and giving up your time means a lot.
I know, but like I said, mate, I've been looking forward to this, so always good to catch up as well.
So Chris, what we like to do to start, just to break the ice a little bit, let the viewers get a feel for you and your character, maybe some of your tastes, is something we call the Magnificent Seven. 7 quick-fire questions for you to just give us the first answer which comes to mind, really. If you want to give like a little explanation as well, you can, but you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. But let's give that a whirl and see what pops up in the question. Okay, Chris Freestone, the Magnificent Seven. Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo. You want me to explain why?
No, you can if you want.
I just think he's ridiculously hard worker. Messi's got natural talent. Ronaldo's worked extremely hard to be as good as he is, and other people have gone right. He's working really hard. Excellent.
Favourite TV show?
We don't normally have a justification, and I think that's the coaching side of Chris coming out, which is a great insight, by the way, because what people see and what probably they don't see that dedication, that hard work. You know, that it makes players be that standout individual. What?
Yeah, I think someone who, I can't remember who it was, someone I asked that question to recently, and I can't remember if it was on our show or I did ask the question to someone on the MMA show, and they picked Messi because he's naturally gifted, whereas Ronaldo has had to work to become that good. Not to say he's not naturally gifted, but their justification was basically that Messi is more naturally gifted, whereas Ronaldo is very, 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 very good, but he's also worked incredibly hard to get where he is, which everyone's got a different opinion. But yeah, the question was, Chris, favourite TV show?
Currently, probably NCIS Los Angeles.
Cracking show, may I say. Yeah, I like that. We haven't had that one before as well, which is always good, but that is an absolute blinder.
Placing the Suns is second one of the minutes, so I can't go on holiday yet.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's like jealousy, though, isn't it? It's like teasing. It's like a teasing program at the minute.
Yeah, nice. The first easy question of the 7: Northampton or Middlesbrough?
Come on, Middlesbrough. It was my first.
Good choice.
You gotta love your first.
Good choice.
Best manager you ever played under?
It's gotta be Robbo. The gaffer, as I still call him.
Yeah. We said this, and we. I don't know what it is, and I don't know what it is about him, Chris. I know we're going to talk about this soon, but I've done the same thing, and I think it's scary that that people still have that power over you that you still there, but just a respectful way. Just,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's like he's like my football
we had
dad.
the reunion when I saw him. Yeah, first time I saw him at the last reunion we went to was help gaffer. I couldn't help myself. It was just boss gaffer everything. Yeah. I couldn't call him Brian. I just couldn't say it.
No,
I
can't do it. Just disrespectful. Speaking of dads, my dad just put a comment there.
He did. Well, I was just watching in the chat. Obviously I asked that Ronaldo Messi question every week, and in the chat for some reason this week, maybe it was because Chris gave a little explanation, there's like a slew of comments of people giving different opinions of it. So I just want to give you like a quick little window into how much that question differs in people's opinions. Gavin says Ronaldo greedy, Messi pure class. Your dad says Ronaldo is a new world record holder.
He's got a hat-trick yesterday, I think.
James says the fact that he works hard and makes him better for me, plus he's done it in different leagues and he's successful at international level. And I'm going to get to Rob Boyle. He's just asked a question which I want to ask you and see what you think. Ronaldo,
that's outrageous. That's outrageous.
It's ridiculous, mate. He scored more goals than he's played games. Ridiculous, mate. Absolutely ludicrous. Andy, Rob Boyle asked this question. I want you to tell me and the people what you think the answer is. He says, do you keep a spreadsheet of the answers, Si?
No.
Absolutely not. And if you see, Andy said no. If Kevin McNaughton was sat in that chair, he would have told Rob Boyle a very different answer. That's all I will say. What a silly question, Rob. Come on now.
Got good memories as well, though. We always refer back to stuff. You know what I mean?
That's it. I don't forget a thing. Never forget anything. Rob, do you keep a spreadsheet of the answers? That's what I would say. The next question is, Chris, who is the angriest teammate you've ever had?
Oh my God. Probably Carlegs to an extent at when I was at Northampton. Just because he was a little bit loopy.
Yeah, he was a bit. It was. Was he the same off the pitch then, Chris? Because
pretty much.
Obviously, people seem to change. People seem to change, but he was a Fruit Loop on the pitch.
Yeah, he was off. He was off the pitch as well. But if you knew where he was from and the people his crowd, then you'd understand why. Probably won't say.
I don't mind a bit of consistency. Don't mind. Yeah.
And last couple of questions, nice and easy. This one: Malcolm Christie or Andy Campbell?
Oh, Andy Campbell all day.
You liar!
100% Campbell.
No, I thought that was interesting.
That's an easy answer. Easy answer.
Andy, were you a better footballer than Andy? Were you a better footballer than Malcolm Christie?
I don't think so. No, I've never said. I've never ability-wise, no. Technical ability, no. You know what I mean? Goal scoring, no. But there's certain things and attributes that I had that made me stand out from a lot of other people, and having pace what I had, and having the probably the mindset and I had made me get where I wanted to go. But if I had ability, what other people had to go with it, natural ability. And I'm not being disrespectful myself, because I look at what people are saying there about Messi and Ronaldo and things, and you know what I mean. It was the middle of my time when I made.
You're better than Messi and Ronaldo, is what you're saying then, yeah?
I was faster than Messi.
And faster than Messi and more skillful than Ronaldo. There's a song in there somewhere, I think.
I was faster than Messi and better in the air than Ronaldo.
Absolutely.
Like
there we go. One day we'll have an out of context Andy Campbell Show Twitter page, and they'll take that comment and they'll use it. And the final question, Chris, which is the easiest of the lot: who is the greatest Englishman who has ever lived, in your opinion? It does not have to be football related.
It's a good question. It's a good question. Mate, we've had some really random ones. Really random.
I don't know. I'm gonna be really soft and probably just say my dad.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I can guarantee you that we've never had your dad as the answer. Well,
yeah. No, he got me on the pitch and he got me fall in love with the game. So I've got to say my dad. He'd probably hang with me if I didn't anyway. So.
That's the only reason why my dad watches the show, just so he can have me.
Absolutely no. It's such a wide-reaching question, like, because everyone's different, and it's going to be different for everybody. There's, people might pick the same person, but more often than not, the reasons will be different. And I do love that question, because obviously we changed the nationality to fit in with the guest and who it is. But it's an interesting one. I like it. So what we're going to do now? Go on.
Didn't we do Denmark for Klaus last week?
Yeah, that was Jesus. Don't remind me of that.
Well, he's not from Denmark.
He's from Norway.
Our guest last week. He's from Norway, so we had a bit of a nightmare.
Denmark anyway.
Klaus didn't mind.
The James Costley says the greatest Englishman who's ever lived is Peter Whittingham, and I agree. I gotta say, but
what about me?
Yeah, Well, you're just better than Messi and Ronaldo, mate. You're going to have to take that for today.
Hey, bear in mind, now we're talking about Englishmen. So that old England under-20 picture did the rounds on social media, on Twitter. And I got absolutely abused just for the sake of getting abused. Somebody wrote something on the lines of, that's the best English team I've ever seen, apart from number 11. I was just like, Jesus, you know what I mean? So I just threw a comment back, just saying thanks. Just I've got feelings, you know what I mean? I'm a human being, you know what I mean? And then and then a little bit of banter here and there. But like, I just think, if you got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. It's just not nice.
Mate. It's jealousy, mate. That's what it is.
Yeah, there's brotherly love for you right there.
Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants to be at the top, but not everybody wants to sacrifice to get there. I
know. Do you know what it is? The mistake I made on that game was standing on the end, because you know that Man United look on the end and just got like a super fan who stood on the end. That's what it looks like. It looks like I've just escaped on the end. Wherever, if I was just moved in next to Emil Heskey or moved next to one of the big hitters, and I might have just got away with it being all right, and I might have just been.
That's what I started to do.
I just look on the end. Yeah. I was that nervous.
All my team photos, I started on the end and started moving in until I was sitting down next to the gaffer.
Yeah.
You look like that guy. Do you remember there was that guy years ago who was put like the kit on of the team which was playing, and he'd run in just as they were taking the team photo before the game? Yeah. But do you remember didn't he do like a Champions League final or something, or like a semi-final, like a really, really big game? That's legendary stuff, that is, to tell your grandkids of it.
I'm sure it was like Andy Cole or something, like looking at him. Like,
you're like, who are you?
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
So Neil Campbell, by the way, says Andy Campbell could never head a ball. Never had a ball. He said his goal against Manchester United went off his shoulder. See, no credit off your brother. Still winning. That's what counts.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're still winning against Man United. That's a goal versus Man United. It doesn't matter, does it?
If you're not a striker, people don't know. Everybody thinks you want to score from 30 yards. Mate. I couldn't care.
Exactly.
Listen, if I score from a yard, I'm not bothered. Mate, I'd make goals with anybody. If you shot and it was rolling in, I would run 100 miles an hour to tap it in.
I've seen loads of them. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 300 of them in a minute.
Leo counts, as Matthew says. Gavin says that guy, he did a semi-final. I knew he'd done like a big European game where he'd got in on the end of the team photo. But so what we'll do now is we're going to move on to any other business where we just pick 3 subjects to have a little chat about, which is always fun. So let's go for that. We haven't done any other business, mate, for a couple of weeks. We've been all about the tell me whys. Yeah, that's what happens when you bring all these different features in. You can rotate them in and out. But the first subject is Kevin Ellison. Yesterday, he celebrated a goal. From what I can gather, I saw a little bit of the clip. But Andy, you can tell me a little bit more about it. But basically, he screamed in the face of his former boss after scoring a goal against him. And he got a bit of stick from some people. It went viral. Some people stuck up for him, some people didn't. The manager who he screamed in their face, don't think took it too well. But what do you think about it, Mr. Campbell? And tell us a bit more about it as well.
Well, I'm good friends with Kev, so I texted Kev after the game and said well done. Well done on the goal, first and foremost, and that was before seeing the footage and the celebration. So obviously there was more to come back, and said well done, because from a person who's been frozen out at 2 football clubs, I see the frustration what came out. He's a 41-year-old man. You know what I mean? He's very professional. He's still trying his trade now and giving his best for a football club, and to be frozen out a 40-year-old at his previous club at Morecambe by any manager, you know what I mean? I wouldn't accept it if it was a 16-year-old boy or an 18-year-old professional, you know what I mean? But to do it as a 40-year-old player, I just saw, you know what I mean? He scored his goal. He's ran over to the dugout to celebrate. He screamed, "Have that," with a few choice words to go with it. and then got on with the game. And you know what I mean, it's the picture, it's the timing of the picture, it's, you know what I mean, he's had loads of support from fellow players, ex-players, teammates, etc. And he's had a little bit of stick from other football fans. And you know what I mean, unless you've been in that position and you've been frozen out by a certain manager and made to train with the reserves, made to train on your own, it's so upsetting, it's so mentally tired away. When it happened to me, there was mental health wasn't around really. Well, it was around, but it wasn't as fruitful it is now. There was no help, no support, no guidance. So you know what I mean, you just had to get on with it. But now I can see why that people like that came out and did what he did.
Can I just ask you a couple of quick questions on it, mate, before we throw to Chris? A couple of things. What's the difference between being frozen out and being surplus to requirements? And then I'll ask you another question to follow up on that in just a sec. But I just would like that clarified first, because you know the way football is, some managers don't fancy some players or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Listen, there's no hiding place. You know what I mean? It happened to me at Cardiff. That decided to make me train on my own. I was training in a gym in the Villa Northern Hotel, and I was turning up every day and having to go there on my own, and it was really upsetting for myself and my family at the time, and it wasn't a good place. I would have rather the club just say, listen, you're going to still train with us, but the quicker you get at that football club, it's good for us, it's good for you, it's good for your future team. And I'd have took that on the chin and I'd have moved out quicker. But because I was frozen out the way I was, I dug my heels in, I was stubborn, I didn't let the club win. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't the club really, it was one individual. Clashed between him, he clashed with me, and we didn't get on. But there would have been a better way to handle it on his side, and there would have been a better way to handle it on my side. You know what I mean? So we both handled it wrong. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Yeah. So basically, it sounds like the difference is a respect thing. Like for me, the only way anyone should be training with the reserves or frozen out in that way from a squad is if they're a problem. Like if you are causing a problem within the team because you're not playing and you're disrupting the team, then I can see why you'd remove someone from that situation. But if it's just someone who's you don't fancy and they're still training hard, being professional, then there is absolutely no justification to treat someone like a child.
If you're doing it full time, I've got no time for anybody who does that full terms or on your own Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm not having that. You know what I mean? If you on a Friday, if you're not in the first team squad and you've got to train with another group of players, then I'm all for it, because the manager's going to work with the 16 or the 18 who's going forward for the game on Saturday, and that's fine. But to do it every time, I'm not having it. You know what I mean? Because for me, it's disrespectful. For me, it's out of order. For me, you're messing about with people's livelihood, with people's mental health, with people's confidence, with people's abilities. Football's a short career, and you know what I mean. If you don't want somebody, pay them up and sell them and let them go. Terminate the contract.
Absolutely. Yeah, spot on. So I'll ask Chris this, and then we'll throw back to you with the second part of the question. So basically, Kevin Ellison was there for 9 years, I think, before, and then Derek Adams has come in and told him to train alone without watching him play. I wasn't aware about the training alone and without watching him, but Reece says that was the case. And our viewers are very knowledgeable, so I got no reason to think that's not the case. I know he was there for 9 years. Chris, like, for someone, if you've been at a football club for 9 years, that's a long time to grow an attachment to the club, to the fans. You genuinely care about that club after that amount of time. It's not just a job. So to come in and treat someone like that, it feels personal and it feels quite disrespectful. So I could fully understand why that goal over the weekend would have caused the release that Kevin Ellison had. What do you think?
100% agree. Agree with what Andy said as well. You know, he's got to finish with that club. He's not going to be disrespectful to anybody coming in. He loves the club. He's going to want to see the club do well, and he's going to put his heart and soul into everything he does. But then to go and shove him and go and train on your own for no reason whatsoever, or not explaining the reason whatsoever, I think it's disrespectful. And I think that's just all that sort of frustration coming out in that goal. And it just happened to be against them, against that manager at that time. And for me, I go, well done. Because as soon as I read about it, I thought, listen, mate, I can't fault you because I've done something similar. So, you know, it's
Chris, do you think he would have celebrated the same? Do you think he would have celebrated the same if the fans were?
I think it probably would have gone over the top. It may have done a bit more. I don't know. Difficult to explain without the fans, because obviously everybody's going to wear it. It's going to be highlighted because he's running towards the dugout. Yeah. I mean, when he first scored, I don't think he was originally heading towards the dugout. You know what it's like when you score, you just turn around and you run, don't you? And I think he realised he was near the dugout, saw the manager, and then just started heading that way and just thought, you know, sod it, it's coming out. And then, you know, so he might have just dived into the crowd, you know, and just gone mental there, and then maybe said something as he was running by. If there's but you know, you're never going to know that.
One of the tweets which really caught my eye, out of all the tweets and reaction I saw to it, was a guy called Ian Sharps. I don't know if he's just a fan or if he's involved in football in any way.
He's a teammate of his.
Alright, okay, so what he said is he tweeted a picture of Kevin screaming in Derek Adams' face, and Derek Adams is doing his best to sort of look the other way, and he says, the amount of people tweeting this shows how much love there is for the in the game for the big man, but this is the bit which I really sort of hits home for me. He says, treat people properly because they will remember. And for me, like, I know someone in the chats, I think it was Gavin, said that it was disrespectful. For me, you reap what you sow in life, and how you treat people, you know, there's a saying, isn't there, about treat people well on your way up because you'll see them on your way back down. And there's no excuse for the way Kevin Ellison was treated. No excuse. The fact that he was there for 9 years makes it worse, but it shouldn't come into it how long he's been there. It shouldn't matter if he's been there a week or 9 years. You treat people how you wish to be treated. At least that's the way I was brought up. So for me, I'm glad he did it. I'm not just defended it. I'm glad he did it.
We've spoken here, Chris, for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. The conversation always comes up about players not celebrating against their old clubs, and you know what I mean. But they're getting paid by this current club. The argument, isn't it, of each goal could be your last, so just celebrate it like it's your last. And I look at it as you're playing for your football club. You're getting paid by your football club. Your fans are there. You know what I mean. You want to celebrate with them, so celebrate with them. And you know what I mean. Yeah. I look at Kev at the weekend and think, do you know what? He's going to remember it more so because of what happened, but he's going to remember it because A, it was a good goal, B, it was a good goal and a winning goal, because it was the third goal in the 3-1 win. It was, you know what I mean, and it was a cracking strike and thoroughly deserved, you know what I mean. So because one goal is going to be his last goal, and so why not this goal? Fair play with him. Can't fault him.
I had fans in I've played against old clubs and had fans stop me in the car park. Chris, don't score against us today. I said, listen, mate, I've got to do my job. And if I score, I'm going to celebrate and don't hold it against me. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm playing for whoever I was playing for at that time. And, you know, you've got to do your job. And why wouldn't you celebrate? If you've got a passion for scoring goals, mate, you know me, I've got a passion for scoring goals. I'm celebrating everything. I celebrate in training. You know, kick around with the kids. I'm celebrating on the park, mate. I'll flips and all sorts. I'm not bothered.
And this is sad. We're now talking to a serial goal scorer now. We're talking to a man who scored goals for fun. You know what I mean?
Another one.
The goals that we're going to talk about very soon is absolutely outrageous. You know what I mean? So for someone to you know what I mean, to enjoy and just the love of score, it gives it. There's no feeling what I can compare it to. You know what I mean? That feeling of scoring goal. If it's in the park with your mates, if it's playing for the over 40s like I'm doing now, or if it's in the Premier League, it's still the same buzz. Yes, it's a lot quieter when there's nothing and screaming at you, but it's still the same feeling, it's still the same enjoyment. And you know what I mean, Kev will have got that enjoyment on Saturday afternoon against Morecambe for Newport, so good luck to him, fair play to him, you know what I mean. But I do understand people's concept of it. I do understand people, because we're trying to keep respect in football, but until you've been in that situation where you've been frozen out, you've had a manager who's not allowed you to diverge with the players day in, day out, week in, week in. You can't really comment on that situation, really.
Well, nobody knows, do they? I mean, you know, you have got to be in that situation. You know, similar. I've never actually been in that situation of being frozen out and training on my own. But I've been in other situations where managers don't want you and they try and force you out of the club, you know, and then you come back in and you do your job for your club. And I've run to my own manager and done the same. So, you know, 4 times in one game, it was brilliant. I was knackered.
Yeah, I didn't do it 4 times, but like I think it happened to me in Middlesbrough as well. You know what I mean? That Steve made us train on our own. We were. He did it in more of a respectful way. I wasn't on my own. I was with another group of players, but that group started about 15, and then it dwindled down until he got out. You know what I mean? I left a good couple of friends behind, but I was selfish and needed to get out for my own sanity, my own football career. But I still wanted to help out if needed, and managed to get a goal while I was still training on my own, which is just going to still happen. But I just wanted to do the best for the football club because I'm still getting paid by the club, still love the club because I was still living there, and it is what it is. But if managers do things the right way and they tell you in the right manner, then I've got total respect for that.
100%, mate. I had a similar thing.
Spot on.
You know, they wanted me out, but they paid me up. I was still playing. I was still doing my job. I was still training with them all the time, and we were still negotiating until I got paid up, and then I went. But he did it in the right way, and I had no problem with that. So, you know, I've not fell out with anybody over there. I've never said anything bad about the club or the fans or the manager or anything like that, because he treated me well. You know, I knew what was going to happen, and it happened, and I went, and I had no problem with that. You know, so like you say, you know, I'm exactly the same. So I was taught treat people on the way up, right, because you'll meet them on the way back down, and I have. And I've never had any problems with anybody, I don't think, unless somebody's got something to say behind my back. But I've always tried to do that the right way, and I think I'll always continue to do that.
What's mad though?
We're a show of the. Sorry, Andy. Sorry, mate. Really quickly. We're a show of the people, mate, and I like to keep everyone informed of what's going on in the football world. So I just wanted to let Gavin know that Wolves are winning 1-0. Sorry. There you go.
It's mad though that your career your career is what it can be 5, 10, 15, 20 years if you're lucky. To only fall out with 1 or 2 people is quite good going, you know what I mean? So I think people do make a big thing of something which, you know what I mean, if you're in a normal workplace, you could fall out with somebody regularly, week in, week out, have more arguments within a workplace. So, you know what I mean, football high impact, and there's emotion, and it's physical. You know what I mean, there's not as many fallouts as people tend to think, but they're high profile, and that's why they get as much traction as they do.
Yeah, and you'll always get the little bit of backbiting as well that's in there in certain clubs, probably lower down in the leagues. Because everybody's got an opinion. You know, I would have played, I should have played, why wouldn't I have played, and all of the usual sort of stuff. And you've got to take it how it's going to be taken. You know, I've been in, and it might sound a bit wrong this, but I remember being in a game, and it's in the shower after the game, someone comes in the shower and starts whinging and whining. And I'm thinking, well, once I go out, is he going to be whinging and whining about me? So I've got to be careful what I'm saying. Otherwise, he's going to shaft me. Because he's in the same position. Oh, Chris said Chris said this, Chris said that. You know what a game's like? It's full of snakes.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful, and you have to ride above it at times.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that's coming more apparent now, though. So it's coming more apparent. What Chris just said there about people. You can go back in the day. You know what I mean? There was no. I was just as happy for Chris to score than he was probably to score. You know what I mean? On his first game for Middlesbrough. I bet that's not the case now. When you're fighting for places and you're looking for someone to, you're wanting them to do badly. If you're wanting your centre forward to do badly, you're wanting your team to do badly. You're wanting to lose the game, because without people doing well, your team's got no chance. You know what I mean? You want to, if you're going to play, if you're on the bench, you want to go into a successful team. You want to go into a team doing well. You don't want to be turning into a team or coming on when you're getting beat with it. There's not enough friendships in football anymore. You know what I mean? The football doesn't seem to have that camaraderie. Doesn't seem to have that fun aspect and togetherness, and you know what I mean. It just seem very, very cutthroat now. For sure.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Andy, just before we move on to the next subject, we've had a super chat, so I want to, and it fills in with this kind of subject, so I want to do that first and foremost. Guys, if you do want to send a super chat on YouTube, you can. If you send a super chat, you're guaranteed to ask your question to the guest or whoever you send it in for. Gaz says, best Footy show around, awesome YouTube channel that's helping my mental health in a messy personal time. Thanks guys, never stop. And he also asks, what did Derek Adams say in the post-match about Kevin Ellison? Do you know, and if not, I can find out.
He didn't say anything live. I've seen a couple of extracts from what he said, and he got asked about it, and he didn't give any details. He just said he was quite blasé about it, really. That it is. He wasn't really that bothered. You know what I mean? And to be fair, look, it is a personal issue between a manager and a player. You know what I mean? It's still a personal issue now because Kev's done is celebrated. You know what I mean? So he's not like he's grabbed hold of him or done anything. For me, I don't see a problem. No one's done anything wrong. You know what I mean? The players celebrated a goal. Oh, it's going to happen again. If the fans, like Chris said earlier on, if the fans were there, no one would have heard the words. And the words are probably the worst things what people have heard. You know what I mean? There's worse things get said cameras and stuff, and near recordings equipment anyway. So for me, just do with it.
The other thing, mate, as well is, like, at the end of the day, like, if Derek Adams was out of order during the time when he isolated Kevin Ellison, deep down he will know it. Whether he will ever acknowledge it, he will know it personally if he was out of order or not. Now, I'm not saying he was or he wasn't. We've talked about that side of it. But if he was out of order, then of course he's not going to make too much of a fuss of it because, like you say, there was no physical contact. It was just some bad words. Passion. I like to see passion because one of the things I've hated this year is watching players have to wait 5 minutes before they can celebrate a goal. So to see that was fantastic. Gaz asked another question for you two, which I wanted to do his question because he sent in a super chat. He said, "Who is the biggest snake or knobhead that Chris or Andy has met in football?" And he also put, "Don't duck the question." Didn't say please. So if I were you both, I'd duck the question.
Put a question mark though.
Yeah, he did put a question mark. Which is vital to questions.
I'll answer first because I don't want to put our guests on the spot. So mine's no surprise, which is what I'm going to say, and obviously the reason behind it. Listen, it becomes more apparent now that what's going on. That I was made by Dave Jones to train on my own. I was in his office daily, hourly. It felt like. I just wanted my own situation dealt with. I was being selfish towards myself and my family because I wanted us to be in a better position to move on. I didn't want to be there anymore. If he didn't want to meet me there, I wanted to move on, but the club weren't letting me go. You know what I mean? Some of the things what was said to me, I've kept it very quiet, and I will continue to keep it quiet until till something's put in place from myself, which is obviously ongoing, which obviously I can't go into at the minute. What was getting said wasn't a nice thing. You know what I mean? It was things on the lines of your face doesn't fit in here anymore. Go and train on your own. That's personal for me. That's a personal thing, a personal statement, personal saying. Do you know what I mean? Whereas for me, just not in my footballing plans. I want to go and bring Stevie Thompson in, which I knew was going to happen anyway, and he did in the end. Just do it. I'm not bothered. But listen, Stevie Thompson was a better fit at Cardiff City than I was for the way that Dave Jones wanted to go and sign him and let me move on to go and do where I wanted to go.
100%, mate. Cool. Chris, did you want to add anything to that question, or would you prefer to avoid that one? It's entirely up to you.
To be honest with you, I'm not going to name any names. The reason why I won't name any names is we made up since the incident that happened, and he was actually in somebody might figure it out anyway, but he was an assistant manager at the club I was playing for, and he wasn't getting another contract, and he basically my contract was coming up as well, and he was lots of words in my ears about moving on and getting the contract paid up if I moved, if I don't ask for a move, and all these sort of things, and I ended up leaving the club anyway on deadline day, and I went elsewhere, and but I ended up having the tribunal against a particular club because of my signing on fees and contracts, etc. And we went backwards and forwards, and I actually met the assistant manager at the tribunal, and he denied absolutely everything. Tried to drop me right in it, but we have made up since then. Fortunately, I won anyway, and I got everything I deserved, which was great. Took me on a nice holiday and etc. But yeah, we made up since then, and I still see him now. So I'm not going to say any more than that. But yeah, he really wound me up, to be honest, because we were quite close at that time. So, but no names.
That must be difficult to take. It must be difficult to take.
How important, Chris, is it then to make up? Because I've always said I'm open to a conversation. I'm open to having a conversation about it, man on man, and putting things to bed. Listen, I'm no angel, by the way, as you well know. That we all make mistakes. We all say things that you regret at the time. You always, well, not everybody, but we all I put Twitch was ill-timed, or said things in it I shouldn't have said. But once it's out there, and I tell my kids, and I tell the other individuals that be careful what you put on social media, because once it's out there, it's out there. You can never take it back, and bang, too late. But listen, we all make more mistakes because we're only human. But you know what I mean? Sometimes there's time to put it to bed, and what we're trying to do on here is trying to make the humour of it. And we try to bring a bit of humour to the situation, which did bother me at the time, but same as other people who had bad times don't last forever. You know what I mean? Strong people come out of it, and you know what I mean. And you know what I mean? He's had bad times in his life. He's come out the other end of it. And it happens.
I think sometimes you just got to put, like I say, you got to put stuff to bed. And you know, I was fortunate we made up. Like I said, I was at the tribunal, and it was just me and him face to face at that particular time. And he was calling, you know, "Oh, you've dropped me in here." I says, "Hold on, you started all." "No, I didn't." And this time, listen, we shook hands and we walked away. And I didn't see him for years. And then I saw him again, and we just sort of talked, and we just sort of got over it. And it's never been mentioned since. And for me, it doesn't need to be mentioned again. You know, the handshake was enough for me there and then, whether it meant anything or whether it didn't. But I've got to be honest, mate, I ain't got time for grudges. I ain't got time to think back on things like that. You know what I mean? I've changed over the years. I don't get wound up. If it's out of my control, then it's out of my control, and I don't get head up over it. You know, if I'm driving my car and somebody cuts me up, I'll have an initial snap and then I'll let it go. Because I'm not going to chase somebody miles down the road, because I might catch them and then won't know what to do with them. I'll let it go. You know what I mean? If I'm outside and he chucks it down, I go, well, it's out of my control. What's the point? I see so many people get wound up with, it's raining, it's snowing, it's this, it's that, and the other. I'm going, well, can you control it? Well, no, if you can't control it, what are you bothered for? And that's how I sort of look at things now. And if I can't control it, then I'm not bothered. You know,
I think that's a good way to be. It's a good way to be, isn't it?
I've never seen this guy lose control. I'll be honest. I've never seen it. It would be, by the way. I think just for 5 seconds. I just think I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it.
Listen, my dad took me boxing when I was about 14 because I was fighting all the time. So it sort of mentally sorted me out.
Hey,
yeah, I'm calm.
It's where the fast stands. It's where the fast stands.
That's it.
That's right. Yeah.
Rob Boyle asks Chris, just in relation to what you were talking about there. He says, "Would you still feel the same if the tribunal hadn't gone your way?"
I think so. You know, it's difficult to say, but it was. You know, it was signing on fees. It's a big chunk of money at that time. And you know, I was still getting paid. I was still getting a wage, and that was sort of extra money, like all signing on fees, whether they go into pension or whether you take them, and you go and have a splurge with them. And I didn't have it. You know what I mean? I didn't have that money at that time. It was a tribunal to get that money. So if I didn't win, I still didn't have it. But I did win, and I eventually got it. So I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I still wanted to put it to bed. Like I said, I don't want to think back and think I don't like this person, or I don't like that person, or God, if I meet that person, I'm going to smack him in the mouth. And I don't want to think like that. You know, I talk to my kids about stuff like this, and And like I say, if I can't control it, I don't let it wind me up. So I'd like to think that if I'd have lost the tribunal, that it'd still be the same, that we could have still got over it, and we'd still be pally, if you like. So, yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
Okay, cool. So, Chris, I'm very eager to talk about you and your career instead of just the general football stuff. Although we've got a good starting point already, and we've had some good insight into some of your experiences within the game. So, what I'm going to do, executive decision, I'm going to drop one of the any other business subjects. So we're just going to have one more, and I want to talk about non-league players who've made it all the way to the Premier League. A certain player yesterday said his piece, which Andy will tell us about in a minute. We don't need to necessarily talk about who it was, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. But there's several players who have been able to do that, Andy. So what I would like to put to you, as well as the subject, is which one of them for you has got like the biggest kind of feel-good fairy tale feeling to it out of all those players who've managed to do that? Because that is like the literal fairy tale in there. It could be 1 minute being in non-league, next minute being in the Premier League.
Yeah. Listen, I think the jump, and obviously Chris has been there and he's realised the jump. You know what I mean? Direct jump from non-league football to that level. You know what I mean? That's the jump for me. You know what I mean? When people talk about Jamie Vardy did it positively. He was playing for Stockbridge Park Steelers, and then he went upper level, and then he went upper level, and then he went to Fleetwood. Yeah. Obviously Halifax. So the jump it wasn't as drastic as what we're talking about. But his rise was scary. You know what I mean? It'll never happen again, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The rise was what he's made, which is brilliant, and good luck to him. He's had an amazing career. But you know what I mean? For me, I look at our guest, Chris Smalling's one. He went from Maidstone, I think, to the Premier League. But for me, he ain't right. You know what I mean? For me, I don't think it gets any bigger than that. You know what I mean? At the time, he jumped from non-league football up to Division 1.
The impact he made as well,
scoring goals to Arsenal, playing for England, you know what I mean? So, and the amount of goals he scored, you know what I mean? That imagine if he got that opportunity to progress through a club, would he have turned out the same way? Would he have been as driven? Because the amount of players, and Chrissy will probably tell you the same, the amount made that jump, they were a lot more hungrier than players that have come through the system and come to the clubs. They were a lot less needy. You know what I mean? They don't need someone to hold the hands and wipe the backside. You know what I mean? They just get on with it, and they don't have any complaint. How bad are these changing rooms? Or why have we got to get a shower here? Or why is my kit not here? Why is my boots not clean? Because when you've got to do it yourself, and when you've got to get changed here, there, and everywhere, then when you get changed in, and I'm going to be a little bit disrespectful for Chris will probably tell you, Crew Alexander's old changing room, away changing room, is absolutely outrageous. You know what I mean? Especially if you're as a centre forward, because the kit man went from the door, which is number 1, all the way around. By the time you got to the corner, the roof was like slanted, so you had no roof. You know what I mean? If you were sub, you got changed on the floor outside. So it was even worse. You know what I mean? I played there twice. Once as a sub, didn't get changed because I couldn't, and then played one game, I think I was number 10 or 11, didn't have any room to get changed anywhere. But like, people are complaining, but until the worst, and I'm on about, you know what I mean, some non-league clubs which don't have the facilities, unfortunately, don't have the money to spend on those kind of areas, then, you know what I mean, give your head a wobble. You know what I mean? Really, you need to understand the situation and the drive what gets players like Chris, like all the other players, to get where they've been to where they want to go. It's an amazing story for everybody who's done it, because, you know what I mean, I've got total respect, because coming through as a 16-year-old at Middlesbrough, I think the hardest thing is the pressure. It's the pressure and the expectation from yourself and your family, being a local boy. And I wouldn't say it's that enjoyable, because you feel the pressure every game, youth team game, reserve game, but coming through the other way, every game's an enjoyment, because you're playing on a nice pitch in front of a crowd, which doesn't normally happen, with better players, with professional footballers. It's the way that other people should understand that if you get released 18, don't give up, because there's a long career ahead of you, and a level for everybody as well. I will say that. There's a level for everybody, and I think people underestimate the power. I watched Charlie against Derby FA Cup. Charlie battered him. Only the only won 2-0, but under 23 for Derby. There was no difference. Charlie with the better side, so you know what I mean. For me, non-league football is stronger than what people think.
Yeah, there's so much untapped potential there, I believe, and I say this on the Championship show. I wish more Championship clubs would look down towards the League Two and the non-league and pick up some of those players, because there's a lot of good, not just players who are like mid-20s who haven't perhaps had the opportunity or haven't quite made it. There's a lot of good young players there, like teenagers who've been released by various academies and then they've dropped down into that league. There's so many different players over the years. Like John Kamara says, Chris Kamara played his way up, played from the Navy to the Premier League. Matthew Angel says Ernie did the same. I think he was had a similar story. Stuart Pearce was playing for Wealdstone. Ended up, having an incredible career.
Ernie's was different because Ernie played in the League Two, didn't he? So you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's still a level of professional football, but it's
Mark Delaney.
The jump to the Premier League. Oh, Mark Delaney, yeah.
Like I think Chris Smalling is a pretty good example. Like he went from Maidstone. He did correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he do like something like 6 months at Fulham? I don't think he did a full season.
Yeah.
And then he went to United. He won Premier League titles. I think he won a Champions League as well. That's quite a, when he looks back on his career, that's quite the story to tell the grandkids, isn't it? I was playing for Maidstone 1 week. A year later, I was winning Premier League titles or whatever it may be. Like Chris, what did you find that jump? Like, what's the hardest thing about that sort of jump in quality and level?
I think the hardest thing was probably the training every day. For me, I was playing for a Step 5 team, so I was probably getting about 25 quid and having to work every day and then go football at night and play at the weekend and stuff like that. And during that time, I was because he used to have the Pontins League, the Reserve League. So I ended up getting an opportunity to go to the Grimsby for about a season. Just travelled up every Wednesday, played in the Pontins League, come back, went to work on the Thursday, Friday, played for my team Arnold on the Saturday, and then starts all over again on the Monday. So then, get the call and then to come to Middlesbrough, and then have to train every single day. That was a bit of a shock to the system. So, and then two, potentially double sessions as well sometimes. And we were training on a school pitch at the time, Andy, remember?
Yeah. It wasn't. It wasn't. We're on about facilities. I mean, what the club has got now.
Yeah.
Was it? We were on about a pitch with. You had to put you had to put your own goals up before. It wasn't right. Nice. It wasn't nice.
Keepers used to be in the far corner. We used to be at the other end. And play the dog nick off. So it wasn't too much different than what I was doing anyway, but it was the physicality of training for a few hours every single day. And then, I think my first game was for the reserves in the Pontins League against Blackpool away, and it was freezing. It was chucking it down. We was in the main stadium, and we had a lot of the first team fringe players, like Cav was playing, Morsey was playing. We had a really good squad out, and apparently Gaffer and Viv were watching, and we got tanked in the first stop. And as my first game, Gordon Quinn walked in the change rooms, and I've never heard anybody shout so loud in my entire life. And he just went, your shit, you. And he got round to me and I was like, oh my God, first game, I've only been here 2 days. And he went, Chris, well done, son. And he went, Gav, your shit, Ozzy, your shit, Gaffer's here. And he absolutely hammered everybody. And I got well done, so I scored. Fortunately, I scored in that game. I think we probably lost about 3 or 4-1 to Blackpool. And yeah, Robbo and Viv were there, you know, and you gave it the gaffers here, come watch you, flats, you're all crap, your shit, just hammered everybody, and I got well done, so I was happy. And we was all back in training the next day, which was another shock to the system. My legs were intact. So
how did you find that then, Chris? Because obviously, you know what I mean, the training every day is a difficult bit, but it's the days after the games, you know what I mean. Whereas, yes, you can go to work and you can recover, or you could take a day off, for example, or whatever, however you to go and train. You know what I mean? Because even your cool downs turn into again head tennis or turn into quite a physical session. You know what I mean? Because you don't just like just to stand about. If you're in, you like to do something. So how did your body find that recovery?
I think because I was still sort of, how to put it, I was still living the dream. I was still in my own head about, wow, I'm here. You know, I was 24 at the end of the day. It took me a long time to get to that sort of level. And, you know, when it's something you've always dreamed of, wanted to do and worked towards, and then to be there, having played, having trained, played, and then come in the next day and still trying to get your head around it that it's finally happening. I think that sort of adrenaline got me through the sort of training, and then realise there's another game at the weekend coming, and I'm going, oh my God, I think I'll be all right now. Fine, my hamstrings are about that big. Yeah, I think that's sort of the buzz, the adrenaline buzz. You know, at the end of the day, for me, coming from non-league, I was getting paid for a hobby, and that's how I saw it. It wasn't until later on in my career where it became a bit of a job. You know how it is when you're at certain clubs, and it became a bit more work. But when I was there, when I first started, especially for quite a few years, I still treated it like getting paid for a hobby, and it was just great. I was happy to do whatever I was asked to do.
Tell the viewers, Chris, because we've spoke quite strongly on here over the last couple of weeks about this under-23 league, under-18 league. How important your development and how important the Pontins League, Reserve Team League was for you to integrate yourself into the opportunities you got, because I wouldn't have had the career I had without it. You know what I mean? It turned me into it turned against men with men. It was brilliant for me personally. But what was your experience of it? Because obviously you spoke about it at Grimsby. You're obviously now speaking about it at Middlesbrough. So it's obviously it played a part in your early development in your career.
Massive. Yeah. See, the year I spent at Grimsby, you know, it was almost like a trial. So to go there and play in the Pontins League, you know what it was like. You don't know who you're playing against. In the under-23s, you're playing against people of your same age, maybe a little bit younger. You might get the odd first teamer in there. When you play in the Pontins League, you could be playing against Arsenal's first team because they've not got a game. You could be playing against Tottenham's first team. You could be playing against, you know, Grimsby's academy team. You don't know until you turn up on the day, on the match day, and all of a sudden you go, I know him. I know. Oh my God, he plays for the first team. And that adrenaline buzz to go out and play against these players, especially, and for me coming from non-league, and if some of the players, the younger players, such as yourself at that time, and Marks and Bell, people like that were coming through, to all of a sudden playing against first team players and coping with it and realising it's not that difficult. You're just playing football. They're just a little bit better, so you've got to be better, you've got to work harder, you've got to be stronger, you've got to be quicker, you've got to think faster, etc. And then coming off the game at the end of the day and going, actually, I did really well. I could play in the first team. And then, you start thinking forward. Whereas the 23s, and they've gone from, it was the 21s to the 23s because they've still realised that it ain't men's football. Pep Guardiola said it a while back, probably a couple of years back. He was saying, he asked him a question about Phil Foden and is he going to play more and is he going to bring more young players through? And the first thing he said was create a better second league. Because the under-23s is not a men's league. And I totally agree, it's not a men's league. It's like playing academy football, but just a bit better than academy football. No, people might get on my case about this, but, I really don't care. This is what I believe. This 23s is not going to turn them into first-team football players. Because they're not playing against
you can see that by the reduced amount of academy players coming through at the top level for me. Like,
look at the Chorley game. Look at the Chorley game. Chorley bullied them.
Yeah.
Absolutely
totally
bullied them. It looked like men
They won
against
the game.
boys.
They won in the game.
Chorley knew straight away when they rolled the 23s out. You know what? We've got a great chance to go into the next round here. You know, Derby put their first team out. They go, oh my God, we've got to do this. We've got to sit back. We've got to hold tight. We've got to stay compact. We can't have any gaps. We've got to try and pinch a goal here. You know, they see the Derby under 23s and they're thinking, you know what? Let's go and attack. Let's go and play our game of football, get it in the box, go and bully the centre half, smash them around a few times and see what they've got. And that's what they did, and they went on the game. Because they're not playing men's football.
How do you get fit if you're not playing? How do you create a plan, try something new? How do you know what I mean? Chris just said there's times when we turned up for games, reserve games, where there was a game at the Riverside once. I don't know if you played, Chris. We played Leicester City, and I think it was Branco played. The Brazilian Branco played.
Yes, yeah.
And,
I remember. I did play.
I thought I played up front with you. So the Branco, the Brazilian international, won World Cups. He signed for Middlesbrough. We were supposed to kick off against Leicester City at home, a 7:00 kick-off. We didn't kick off till about us, who turned up to the game. Leicester City that evening had Muzzy Izzet, Steve Guppy, Emil Heskey. Matt Elliott played centre-half because he might mean you. I'm sure Ian Marshall might have played as well. Do you know what I mean? So and this is a team. This is a team, by the way, in Europe who were winning cups. They just beaten us a year before in the League Cup, so they were full of stars. You know what I mean? Full of stars on and off the pitch. They just signed the Akin Bayes of this world, and it was. Listen, you know what I mean? So to then, for me as a young player, mind it, who was the Scottish international at the time, who changed his alliances, Ian Marshall, who can still sweep up at his age. It was such an experience for me to learn against experienced players, because it's not a case of ball over the top now, because I'm the quickest in my age group, and I had to bring a different element to my game because I'm playing against full professional footballers, and that needs to come back. It needs to come back. It needs to come back, Chris, doesn't it? Because and I'm passionate about it, because I just think it's unfair that players aren't getting opportunities.
If you remember,
young players are never playing against me.
Andy, do you remember the game was delayed because of Branco? So the reserve games only used to have one stand open, didn't they? And he had to open two other sides. You know, like 15,000 people came into the Riverside.
Yeah.
So for some of the young lads coming through, and it was like, oh my God, I've never seen 15,000 when you walk on the pitch. And for me, I'm going, well, this is what it's all about. This is what I wanted. You know, that 15,000 people screaming. And it was amazing. And it was a great game. It was a great game. I remember it really well. And like you say, I come from non-league, and it was exactly the same pace, all over the top. You know, even when I first went to Middlesbrough, played with Wilco up top. You know, 6'6", hold the ball up, flick it on. It was brilliant for me because I could just run towards the goal. But I had to change my game because I can't run over the top over Matt Elliott and Marshy. It's impossible. They're like 6'10". You know, I'm 5'10". I've got no chance of getting the ball over the top. And they look like brick outhouses, you know what I mean? So you've got to have the ball to feet. You've got to slide it down the side for you. And, you know, you've got to try and use your brain even. And I learned loads in those games. It was amazing, and you won't get that in the 23s at all. No. You know?
But also, Chris, it's about when you do well as well. Because if you're a young lad and you're only playing, how are you going to know if you're doing well? Because you need to test yourself then at the next level. And if the next level's first team, you're never going to make that jump straight away. It's going to be probably a loan move away. Possibly at non-league level, depending on what level you're at already, and it might be, you know what I mean, you might get bullied to make that transition, whereas you're on about the Pontins League, you're on about the games that you played, you know what I mean, tell everybody about the amount of goals you scored, because, you know what I mean, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I've never, you know what I mean, every time I used to love reading the programme at Middlesbrough, because, you know what I mean, I was a Middlesbrough fan, you know what I mean, I'm the youth team, and the reserve team was like next 2 pages next to each other, so I was always quite lucky enough to be on the youth team page. I scored on the Saturday, which is great, but then the reserve team page, it was always nice to get a few little numbers next to it and a few appearances, but Chris's numbers were ridiculous. Every week it'd be it wouldn't even be 1, 2 or 3. Sometimes it'd be scary, and you know what I mean. Chris, tell people the amount of goals that you scored in your first season and the second season in Middleton.
Yeah, I think some stato once told me the 3 years I was there, I averaged something like 1.3 goals a game or something like that. Might have been more than that. But even when I made my debut, when I came as a sub at Tranmere first season I was there, we had a backlog of fixtures. So it was we had Tranmere on the Saturday, we had Grimsby on the Monday, I think it was, and I think we had Hull on the Thursday, and I scored 4 against Grimsby on the Monday and 3 or 4 against Hull on the Thursday, and then I played the last 30 minutes at Tranmere on the Saturday, and I've got absolutely no idea how I did it, because I think I'm still aching now.
But the thing is, Chris, it's like scoring a goal is the hardest thing in football, you know what I mean? So to do it so effortless. When I used to watch from the stands at times when I wasn't fortunate enough to play, and obviously sometimes we had experienced players in, and obviously you were the main player at the time, and it was great to watch, because I learned so much, because watching you and the similarities you had in your game to what I had, you know what I mean? I just didn't have the goals, and I didn't, you know what I mean? Yes, I played a little bit more wider, but it was the movement, it was being calm under pressure in front of the goal, you know what I mean? Because as a young player, no one ever teaches you that how to react when you're one-on-one on the goalkeeper, you know what I mean? When you're in that position, you've got a choice to make, and sometimes you've got a choice to make very quickly. So what's that when you've got that composure and you've got that calmness? Do you know what I mean? Is it then just effortless with the finish?
Yeah, for me it was. I don't think it's something you can coach, and I'm a coach, and it's difficult to try and talk people through it. But you're almost trying to slow everything down, slow your focus down, and just slow your mind down a little bit, because if you go clean through and you're one-on-one with the keeper, the thoughts that race through your mind, I'm going to chip him, I'm going to go around him, I'm going to go through his legs, I'm going to slot it down the side. There's so many things that you can do. You usually choose the wrong one. So it's just really about, just trying to just try and slow your thoughts down a little bit, slow your mind down, slow your focus down, and then just make a decision and stick with it, And for me, it kind of worked. I was never really coached. I just got a lot of advice. So, passion for scoring goals, I think it is. I just love it. Still do now.
What's your thoughts then, Chris, on when people say that people should have a centre forward, and what would a centre forward coach bring to a centre forward? You know what I mean? Because a centre forwards coach, then if the centre forwards aren't scoring, surely then the coach then takes the full flak and the blame of what's going on, because it's, you know what I mean, it's an art, isn't it? You know what I mean? Brian Robson had a meeting with Alan Shearer once at the training ground at Herworth. It was an England issue, so nothing to do with obviously Middleton and Newcastle, and the gaffer called me over, and we were talking to Alan. It was a great experience for me as a young player, and Alan was telling me one thing, the gaffer was telling me another, and Alan just said, listen, don't listen to him. I've scored 300 goals in my life, you know what I mean? Just listen to me and put your laces through it. And it was just like, it was refreshing to hear somebody with that experience, you know what I mean? That he you know what I mean? Everything was foot through it, but it was accuracy. It was deliberate, you know what I mean? Whereas, you know what I mean, when I got in those kind of positions, I didn't have the kind of power that he had. I didn't have the kind of physique that went with it. So, like you just said there, my usual reaction would be, because it was either one or two things happened. One, I'd get around him and I'd be able to tap into an open net, or I'd go around him and I'd get brought down, because I'd be going at that much pace that the goalkeeper would bring me down, that any little touch and it would have to be a penalty. So we'd win on both occasions, really.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think in the game now, striker coach would be good, and it'd be good in the sense that just having that sort of one-to-one with somebody who can just talk you through certain things, and it's about keeping your confidence up or giving you that little bit of advice. My manager at non-league was Ian McCulloch, he used to play for Scotland, he used to play for Notts County, and he just used to say to me really simply, get it, give it a move. So I never did anything other than get hold of the ball, give it to somebody else that could play, and then get in the box. And that was my game. And then people give me the ball in the box, and I do what I did, which was put it in the back of the net. And I've never tried to. I didn't need to take people on. I didn't need to. And these would be the sort of things that you could talk with your with your strikers. Just getting into position, looking for where those gaps are, trying to anticipate, and then just the sort of technical detail that you could talk through. Lock your ankle, stiff foot, side foot, pick your spot, and put it in the back of the net. Little things like that will come from a striker coach. They don't come from coaches. They just say hit the target. Hit the target doesn't mean anything. Striker coach goes into the detail of, listen, it's not just being in those positions, it's anticipating where the ball's going to drop. And anticipation's a big part of strikers. Okay, if you're on the edge of the box and the ball comes to you, great, and you can hit it, fantastic. We did loads of work with Rav side footing from the edge of the box into the corners. Brilliant. And that helps. But that movement in the box and finding those small gaps, those tiny little spaces, that half a yard, that half an inch, all you need to score a goal is the advice sometimes you need from a one-to-one with somebody. And that's what striker coaches should, in my opinion, that's what they should do. There's no point doing, loads of shooting sessions, because anybody could do that. I'll roll the ball and you go and smash it into an empty net. That's a confidence thing. But finding those little small gaps in there and picking out your spot whilst moving and just getting a good connection on the ball when the ball's coming across you as you're running that way, it's not an easy thing to do. You either open up with your left foot and score, or you hit it with your right foot and come onto it and bend it. They're not easy techniques. Listen, everybody thinks ball comes straight at you, I'll take a nice touch and I'll put it in the back of the net. How often does a ball come at you from the goalkeeper? It's usually coming that way across or that way across. And you've got to get the right technique and pick your spot and put it all in the blink of an eye. It's not easy. No,
it's an art. I totally agree. No, I totally agree. No, we've got a bundle loads of questions from the viewers. So I was going to go through a few now. So apologies. We've had loads. I've seen loads come in. So
we've had so many that the ones which were sent right at the start of the show I can't get access to on my screen. So I apologise straight away to those guys. If you want to send them again, please feel free, and I will do my best to get through as many as possible. Okay, first for someone asked, did you ever play at Ninian Park, Chris? And what did you make of it, if you did?
Oh God, you know what? I can't remember. We played those so many grounds. I'm sure I did. But for me, I love all grounds. I don't care what they look like. Anywhere that's got fans in, brilliant. So it wouldn't bother me. I remember we had a psychologist come in at psychologist, seems like a psychiatrist, come in and just talked about pitches and stadiums and stuff like that, and she put all these pictures around the changing room on a white background, and apparently it was all the league teams, all the clubs that were in our league, and she was just trying to go on about all pitches are the same and this, that and the other. I didn't believe in any of that, so I just laughed it off and went, whatever. But no, so yeah, anywhere that's got a pitch and 2 goals in the stadium, I'm happy days. They're all the same to me.
Amazing.
What was best, Chris? Was it the older stadium revamped, brand new ones, which had the best atmosphere?
I think the older ones do, because they were closer. Unless you go to certain clubs where the fans don't like you, then being so close to the fans is not a good place to be. But yeah, I think the older clubs, the atmosphere in some of those, just electric. Unbelievable, just really, really loud. And I think if you can't get up for a game in that sort of environment, then you shouldn't be playing football.
So my question then, Chris, is which fans didn't like you?
Okay. Well, I had an issue with some Hull fans once when I was up at Hartlepool, but that might have been down to the 4 goals I scored against them the last time I played. So, yeah, Pete, I think it was. I was thinking about this today actually. Because you had Tommy Miller on the show, didn't you, a while back?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but I think it was Peter Beardsley that put me clean through, and I was running in. Keeper came out of his box, and I went diving in because I've always said that it's either me or the goalkeeper, and the keeper sort of bottled it and left me with an empty net, and I scored, and I ran past all the Hull fans because they'd been giving me shit all game. I ran past them giving one of them. So yeah, they gave me some more crap. In fact, the police came in the changing rooms trying to do me for inciting a riot. So,
wow.
Which was fun. But apparently they had it all on the cameras anyway, so they knew I didn't do anything. He said, but they had to come in and change.
What happens when Chris Freestone started a riot after scoring 4 goals to great headline?
I know, yeah.
Great headline.
Cade Childs asked, have you got any good names of football shirts you've swapped with players after the game and stuff? Did you grab any big shirts, Chris?
Yeah, when we played Sampdoria, with the opener at the Riverside, I got Mancini's shirt, which was...
Oh, what a shirt.
Did you? Did you?
Yeah. I actually got his shirt as well.
I didn't play that game. I didn't play that game.
Yeah, he got
do you know what? I remember that. I remember that game so much for Steph getting injured. It was just scary. Do you know one? Steph McGargle, obviously a good friend of mine. I haven't spoken for a while, but yeah, there's always a moment in the game which I remember. For whatever, he got a really bad injury, and I don't even think he ever recovered from that properly. Obviously to play football for Middlesbrough again, but yeah, I just remember it for certain. Just one of those things that I just remember the game for.
We had the retro shirts as well, which I wasn't too bothered about them, to be honest with you. But Mancini got one.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know what he's done with his, but probably went like that. Yeah, cheers, mate.
So they must have had a good side then. They must have had a good side that day, did they? Mancini, if he's playing for them.
Lombardi.
A great team, that. I remember they had a great team. I think Lombardi played, and Mancini was, he was ridiculous that day. And our whole team talk was, don't switch off, because they'll just keep possession. You won't get near them. They'll slow everything down. And then as soon as you switch off, they'll go and they'll score a goal. And they did.
They had an incredible team.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Sampdoria back in the day were awesome. A good coaching question here, actually. I like this one. Rhys David Evans says, when people say they are hungrier, what exactly does that mean? They work harder in training, they put more time in than others. Yeah, so that's if I like that one.
Yeah, hungry for me is the attitude. You know, I mean, Andy mentioned earlier on about having less ability than certain players, but you always had a fantastic attitude to work. And a desire to get around the pitch and do it for your teammates as well. If that meant you had to track back as a striker, you track back as a striker. And for me, that's what hungry is. It's a desire, it's a commitment, it's passion, whatever you want to call it. It's an attitude. And not everybody has got a great attitude to work without the ball. And for me, that's what I'd say is what a hungry player looks like. You know, to do the horrible work when they haven't got the ball, it's one of the hardest things in the game to do, because you've either got it in you to do it or you haven't, and you'll see whatever game you'll see where certain players will just stand around and they only come alive when they get the ball. That for me is not a team player. It's not a hungry player. They're a selfish player. They're only in it for themselves.
Bang on.
And I think a hungry player is got that attitude to work without the ball. You know, the best players work hard with it and they work harder without it.
Bang on. And listen, you look at Mesut Ozil. You know what I mean? Mesut Ozil, he's got all the ability in the world, and if he just ran around, he could be something of the best of the best. But because he doesn't want to run around, and he thinks they need to go the extra mile, and you know what I mean. And like we said there, it's an effort thing, but it's an effort thing not just for yourself. For me, it's for your team. You know what I mean? If you go the extra mile for your teammate, they'll go the extra mile for you, and that's the success of a good two centre forwards working across the line to close fullbacks down. If I'm just stood up there and I'm watching Chris run past me all the time, then the manager's going to notice it, and all the team's going to notice it, and everyone else is going to notice it. But if we're both doing it, then everyone else around us is going to do it, and it's just it follows on. That's what friends do, teammates do, and that's why things work. That's why things work.
Absolutely.
Because believe me, Chris wouldn't be. Yeah, well, Chris wouldn't be sat on here saying good things if he's done my running for 20 years, because he'd be blowing out. It's a respect thing, you know. I just don't like it when I see players just basically just tossing it off. You know, that's basically what it is. It's just letting things come to them, not putting the work in, not putting the hard miles in.
And Andrew Williamson asks Chris, what memories does Chris have of his time at Hartlepool?
I have really fond memories of Hartlepool, especially the 2 goals that kept him in the league. We beat Scarborough.
Love it.
It was between us and Scarborough that were on his way out of the league, and we won't say we were fortunate enough. We battered him. I was fortunate enough to score the 2 goals that basically kept us up. But listen, I really enjoyed my time up there. The fans were great with me. Even when I went back there with Northampton, you're always going to have a small selection or a small section of fans that are going to give you some. But there was nothing terrible. You know, it was just them trying to put me off, where I had no problem with whatsoever. But I had a fantastic time up there. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I was travelling from Nottingham to Hartlepool. I didn't live up there. That was probably one of the reasons I had to leave in the end. I had a lot of back pain and too much time in the car. So, yeah.
Good trip.
Donna asks, who was your roommate at Middlesbrough?
It changed. For the FA Cup final, I was with Ben Roberts. And to be honest, I probably won't go with Ben ever again. Because he played that game. He just couldn't sleep. Bless him. He was up all night, in and out the toilet all night before the game. He couldn't sleep, therefore I couldn't sleep. It was an absolute nightmare, But I roomed with Nigel Pearson, skipper. He made me have 2 pints so I could go to sleep. So he always on a Friday night, he always ordered two pints of lager to help him sleep on a Friday night, which I didn't know when I was rooming with him until I got 2 pints of my own, which I didn't really want. But I had to drink. I had to drink with him in the room, which was good fun. But I don't know. It didn't seem to be a thing where you have the same roommate as it does now. Everybody sort of has one roommate and they stick with him. I seem to get advanced. I don't know if it was just me. Nobody wanted to room. But
we used to have 16 or 18 lads travelling, didn't we? So it would be a all the time. So it wouldn't be, certain players who regular would probably share. But yeah, I think it was. We used to change all the time. It'd be different people room with different people.
Free for all.
Ben was a nightmare. Ben was an absolute nightmare. I felt for him as well.
And the game, I felt for him in the game. Yeah, the game wasn't great, and obviously the goal after. Well, it felt like, to be honest. Yeah, you let a goal in after 20 seconds. Yeah, in FA Cup final.
Yeah, man.
I didn't even get me seat before the goal. When they devastated, I was devastated. Leslie's asked the question, Sag.
All right, I'll get to that. All right, let me just do this one quickly, and then I'll go to the Leslie next then, because I've got this one up. So John Kamara and Gaz asked a similar question, so I'll kind of put them together. John Kamara said, what was the funniest thing that happened with you two both present at Middlesbrough? And Gaz says, can Chris tell us a story about Andy that we may not know? And I'll find Leslie's question.
I don't know if Chris was at the game. I'm sure. Did you play the FA Cup game, Chris, when they got knocked out by Wrexham away?
I don't think so.
I think we got beat 2. I think we got beat 2-1. So I think we played them on the third round of the. Yeah, well, they got beat. I was 17th away. It was a good thing, but then a bad thing. I think because I was there. But obviously we got beat in the racecourse ground 2-1 FA Cup. So in the changing room, everything was open plan there. Apart from there was a little door to the shower area, And Vivs came in, and the gaffers came in and stood there in silence, not happy. You could tell by his face. But Vivs just picked the tea and coffee mugs up one by one and just thrown them against the wall. I've never been so scared in all my life. I've just gone in the shower area and he's just thrown them against the wall one at a time. There's been 20 cups. I was just it felt like about 7 minutes. I was just waiting for everything just to calm down. He scared the life out of me. And like, you know what I mean? And Viv was normally the most placid, calmest man I'd ever come across, but he scared the life out of me. And after that, I'd never cross him again. I'm glad he didn't play.
I don't think we went to. Where did we go? Was it Tenerife? When Viv lost his teeth.
I didn't go. I went to Dublin. I went to Dublin later.
Lost his teeth. Jesus.
Lost his teeth drinking.
There's some trips, by the way. Some trips in the middle.
Sounds like a good time, mate.
Do you know what we say? Like, it was the time that obviously there was a big socialising culture. Drinking players played hard, but they partied even harder. You know what I mean? But they still went on the pitch and did it, because that was the culture what the gaffer had. The gaffer used to do it on a Tuesday and go and play on the Saturday. He used to do it on a Wednesday and go and play on the Saturday. So the players were allowed to do what they want within moderation and midweek and put in the shift, and they did it for him, and they did it for the football club. But I tell you what, it was great fun along the way. Absolutely amazing fun.
It was brilliant. I remember when he said it. You know, it was if you can't do it and train 100%, don't do it. And I remember Christmas do, one of the Christmas do, I think it's probably the first one that I ever went to. Obviously free bar and everything, amazing, absolutely hammered along with everybody else, and we trained the day after. Gordon McQueen took us from, the room was at A.C.E Park, and we came out of A.C.E Park. I'd probably only been there 2 weeks at the club. I had the Christmas do in Stockton, the big hotel in Stockton, and absolutely hammered. So we came out of A.C.E Park, right, we're going for a road run. And I've gone, I'm still non-league mentality here, thinking I've got 3 days in bed or something. And we're going for a road run. We're just joking, I'm chucking up, I want to be guts head, pounding. And we start running down, come out of A.C.E Park, turn right, starts running, Gordon's in front. Turned another corner, I'm thinking, oh God, how long's it going for? We've only been running like 2 minutes, felt like an hour. And to be fair, we ran straight into the local cafe around the corner and bought everybody a full English breakfast. I'm sitting there, I couldn't even eat that either. I was like, oh God, left pudding, oh my God. I just wanted to throw up everywhere, but get it down, you son. So I had to eat this full English breakfast, and then we went back and just had a little kickabout, and now it's just, but like you say, if you can't do it, and you can't do it like they can do it, and get up and go training, don't do it. You know.
Absolutely.
That was the mentality side. You know what I mean? Chris will tell you. We ended up going to Dublin, and we went there to play Shelbourne. Then we had a couple of days, and then we were having a training day. So the training day, we hadn't had any sleep the night before. Gaza was on his notorious, didn't go to bed, drinking hot whiskey, and I was sharing a room with Summers, who obviously loved to drink anyway. So I didn't get much sleep that night. Turned up for training. We got our training, got a run around Dublin centre, ran down the road, round the corner, straight to a pub. In our training kit, and the gaffer just said, right, we're in here all day now, no one's moving till 5 o'clock. I'm thinking, it's 11 o'clock, you know what I mean? That's 6 hours. I can't do 6 hours. I'd rather go for a run. But you know what I mean? I was only a young kid, and I'm thinking, Jesus. But that was just the mentality of the train hard, play hard, party even harder. The scenarios, it was just an amazing time.
About that. Remember there was another Christmas do, we did fancy dress. Did you do that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
We did the full fancy dress, like Swartz was there, Nickel Beck, all them. We went out, literally trained in the morning for about an hour, and 11 o'clock, all fancy dressed up in some really, really bad gear. And then just hit the town. I mean, I remember I got drunk, sobered up, got drunk again, sobered up again, got drunk again, walked out of a nightclub at 5 a.m. with Paul Merson, and he'd not touched a drop all day. Not one single drink all day, he's recovering alcoholic. I couldn't believe it. I've been drunk, sober. He walked out with me. I was like, how the hell did you do that? Unbelievable. Great time. And then we had to train.
He's a magic man.
Right, I've located Leslie's question for you, Andy. So,
well, he asked. Well, I'm sure Chris will have been there as well. So Chris will remember that. Will remember the session because he'll have definitely been there. So we trained at Kirk Levitt Prison. If you remember, we trained inside where the supporters would stand and watch. Not supporters, the inmates would stand. We were running around one day. It was pre-season. We were training, doing a bit of running, and I thought I'd seen Ravanelli. So I said to Mark Sunbell as we were running around, I'm sure I've just seen Ravanelli. And Summers turned around to me and said, why would Ravanelli be here? Go for Juventus against, I think it was Marseille or whatever. And he said, don't be so stupid, why would he be here? So I said, oh, yeah, fair one. You know what I mean? Just put it, someone looked like him. Yeah. So we were running around, blah, blah, blah. We did what we did, finished the session. And then we all came together like we did at the end of the session. And the gaffer stood there and introduced us. And I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. As a supporter, I was so excited because Fabrizio Ravanelli, and it wasn't until I got home and we had a conversation with my dad, and my dad went, "Yeah, well, you're not going to play anymore." And I'm kind of thinking, "All right, yeah, I didn't." I was so excited that Rab's just stood in front of me, that the guy got his arm around him, introduced him to all the players. That was but aside. We were training on one of the worst facilities. You know what I mean? We didn't have any. We trained at different places. It was decent. It was decent setup, but it was, you know, I mean, for Ravanelli to come to a prison on his first day, he must have thought, "What am I doing?" It's just mad.
What have I done? What have I done?
He must. I think he came from Juventus, didn't he? Because I'm sure because we used to watch. Gazzetta. Remember the Gazzetta?
Yeah, on Channel 4.
Yeah, so we used to watch all that, and I'd only watched it the other day. And he was playing for I swear he was playing for Juventus or someone like that. I'm sure it was Juventus he'd come from. And then, like you say, he turned up there, and you got all the prisoners on the side as well, weren't they? All looking through the fence while we were training and that. So the training sessions on there were strange. 20-minute, 25-minute run, 30-minute run, and then some football.
It was all strange.
Strange time. But yeah, for him to turn up and see, he must have been thinking, "What am I doing? What have I done?"
Just turned up to play for Ragas Rovers.
Well, Middlesbrough ended up with an amazing team, didn't they, around that time? And that kind of falls into this question from Gavin. Gavin says, Chris, what was your favourite time during your favourite time at Boro? And he also asked, what's the favourite stadium that you've ever played at?
Well, my favourite time would have been when we went from Mason Park to the Riverside to be part of that. Obviously the opening with Sampdoria, and then to make my debut at the Riverside, and then actually I was really happy and really sad at the same time. That's because I hate coming off any game, but I was really happy that Andy came on. You know what I mean? It was really, really strange at that particular time, but that was probably my favourite time. Something that I'd always wanted to do. Playing in the reserves was fantastic, but everything's got to aim towards the first team. I don't think you're a professional footballer until you play first team football. And having made the debut in the championship the year before, and then for it to take so long for me to get another first team appearance was really, really hard. And then to get that opportunity and then to score as well, and an assist, which is I've got to throw that one as well. But to get an assist and a goal in the same game, that's got to be my favourite time. Favourite stadium will be the old Wembley all day long. Yeah. So, played at a lot of good stadiums, but the old Wembley, for me, you've got to earn it. As a kid, all I wanted to do was play professional football and play at Wembley. And I achieved both those dreams. And to play at the old Wembley, and I always said, the old Wembley, you had to earn it. It was finals only. It wasn't a semi-final. It wasn't a charity game. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. You had to earn it. You had to be in a final to get to Wembley. And it was the pinnacle of the season to get to Wembley. Now it's, buy a ticket and you're going to have 20 minutes on the pitch. And it was brilliant. It was an amazing stadium. I thought it was a great place. And I love, the whole build-up, the bus going underground, coming out through the tunnel and walking out onto the pitch and everything like that. what an atmosphere it is, or was, with those Twin Towers there. It was amazing place, amazing stadium. That was it really. Yeah, brilliant.
Sweet.
I want to touch on side just
yeah, go on.
The game must obviously mean so much to me. Obviously my debut for Middlesbrough, and obviously Chris's first goal for in the Premier League, which was just an amazing. It made it more special for me. Like Chris just said, he didn't like to come off any game. You know, I mean, one who had a huge impact for me and got me in that position and ready for my first team. I don't think I was ready for my first team debut because I was very young and very naive. But if anybody got me ready, it was all the reserve games that I played with this guy, and you know what I mean. And in that early evening, because it was a Good Friday game. It took the pressure off me because after watching the game from the sideline, which was great, you know, because there was full crowd there, and watching Chris score, watch him set games up, watch him run. John Hughes with Jan up front was absolutely fantastic, and thinking, do you know what I've got in my locker for 8 minutes or 7 minutes or however long I got was great, because I knew that they must be tired. Chris has run them all over the place, so I can just have an easy 8 minutes and just enjoy my football and have no. It's so nice that I came on to someone who I respected so much, and just trying to emulate and enjoy watching someone do something as good as that, because you know what I mean. I believe it was Sky game as well. You know what I mean. I've got the video. Yeah, I've got the video Sky after the game. I gave it to my mum and dad, and still got it now. Obviously, it doesn't work because I haven't got a video recorder, so I'm trying to get it on the DVD. But
I could put it on DVD if you mate.
You know what I mean? Can you? Oh, you can bring your thing. I'll bring it up. But an amazing night for me. But even better that I've got to share with someone who's still a friend, and obviously someone I respect so much.
Great time, mate. Absolutely great time. Loved every minute of it. Wouldn't change anything as well. So I was. I remember the game. I remember it well. There was an opportunity. I should have scored earlier on in the game as well. So I always had a habit of scoring on my debut as well, full debut. And I knew I was going to score. I don't know where. I don't know why. I just had this feeling that I was going to score. And I had a chance earlier on. Juninho put me through, and I should have hit it across the goal. I could have played him back in, but I don't pass the ball in the box. I've never done that.
No.
I kind of sliced it a little bit.
He had games with you. I didn't know that. It's not happening. That's a proper centre forward talking. That proper centre forward.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful way to wrap us up. Some great conversations, great questions, some really good questions again from everyone. I know, excuse me, I know we missed a few, but such is life as the amount of viewers is growing each week. It's obviously, we can't ask every single question, but we tried to get through as many as possible. Just a few scheduling notes before we wrap up. Wednesday MMA show, it's the Cage Warriors preview ahead of the event, which starts at the end of next week. We've got the commentator from Cage Warriors, Brad Wharton, and the title contender Jordan Vucenic joining us. Also, My Story Series 2 Episode 2 will drop on Sunday. Of course, we have the Championship show, which is going to be a lot of fun because there is a lot to talk about, including Lee Bowyer resigning, which is going to be interesting to say the least. But there's also a few other stories brewing, which is going to be fun. So join us for that, 7 o'clock Friday. Super Kevin Unscripted straight after is back on Friday as well. Always fun. A massive thank you to Bespoke Financial for sponsoring the shows, and of course Black Diamond Sports for all their support. Andy, as always, it's a pleasure, my friend, and I will let you just wrap up with Chris.
Yeah, no, I loved it, Chris. Brilliant. Thanks for your time. You've been amazing, like I fully expected. Your stories, you're telling us how easy it is. Just completely makes me smile. Amazing.
Mate, like I say, listen, it's always good to talk to you, mate, and we should do it more often. You know, but
we should. Totally
you lose touch with people over the years, and you know it's always great. I'm glad we've stayed in touch.
Me too, mate. Me too.
So many people over the years, and you always look back on it. And they say there's no friends in football, but only acquaintances, but I think that's wrong, you know. But I think, we should definitely try and stay in touch more often. Definitely, mate.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, so much for your time. Great guest, full of great stories. And of course, guys, we'll be back next Monday with an all-new guest. Look out on the social media pages for the announcement. I thank everybody who has joined us this evening. And of course, spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your neighbours about the Andy Campbell shows. And we'll be back Friday, 7 p.m. for the championship show. Until then, we bid you farewell. And I'd just like to say one thing to finish. Come on, Wolves.
My mummy and dad have been talking about life insurance. It sounds like something to protect my brother and me, but I don't really understand. Then my Auntie Louise told Mummy about Bespoke Financial Teesside. She said they're a local company who helped her with her life insurance. Mummy got in touch, and because they're based locally, a man called Darren was able to come to our house. He was really friendly. Darren stayed for a cup of tea and made it all really easy to understand. He said that life insurance will protect our home and family if anything bad were to happen. Like if Mummy or Daddy got sick, then we'd get enough money to take care of us, and our house would be paid for so it wouldn't get taken away. After an hour, Darren said goodbye and Mummy and Daddy seemed a lot happier. Once it was all sorted, we could all relax and watch a film together as a family. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner.